Hello viewers, when fully comprehended, the information provided to you in this video will affect you like a kick in the face. Listen, the negative and evil alien beings, members of the secret governments, members of the secret societies, politicians in government, corporations, judges, police commissioners, etc., etc. It goes on and on. They all take these satanic oaths, commit blood rituals, sacrifice animals, eat human flesh, and drink real blood. If you Google the Georgia Guidestones, their written words tell the public that they intend to keep the human population under 500 million. Why do you think these new flus, new diseases, new viruses keep coming from? Anyway, you are about to view video proof of their 3 latest attempts to extinguish the lives of most human and animal life forms on planet Earth. But the majority of human beings are being protected and shielded from that evil by positive and loving alien beings. They've been saving humanity for a very long time. Unfortunately,
Pope says this may be our last Christmas. Pope Francis told crowds in St. Peter's Square that this Christmas might be the last one for humanity. In a grim speech, the Pope said that the current chaotic state of the world marks the beginning of the end times, and that this time next year the world is likely to be unrecognizable. Francis, who previously announced the beginning of World War III, had labeled this year's Christmas as a charade during a mass at the Casa Santa Maria earlier in the month. We are close to Christmas. There will be lights, there will be parties, bright trees, even nativity scenes, all decked out, while the world continues to wage war, he said earlier in December. The pontiff, who turned 79 on Thursday, elaborated on his views this weekend, telling a crowd, while the world starves, burns, and descends further into chaos, we should realize that this year's Christmas celebrations for those who choose to celebrate it may be their last. Unless the path to peace is recognized, we must weep for those innocent victims who grow by the day, and ask God for forgiveness. As Jesus and God weeps, I do too.
So who was it who told us this was their last Christmas? The Queen of England said this is the last Christmas and we killed Princess Diana because she knew too much?
Queen says this will be our final Christmas right after the Pope. The Queen dropped a bombshell yesterday, while filming her annual Christmas message for the BBC, hinting at deep personal regrets over the murder of Princess Diana, a BBC insider claims. Clearly troubled, the Queen said, she knew too much. The Queen asked her subjects to understand that the royal family simply did what was necessary to ensure their own survival. Senior BBC production staff and palace advisors scrambled to cancel the take, but not before the Queen expressed dark fears that this will be the last Christmas on Earth because malevolent forces, much stronger than her own, are stalking across Europe, gaining ground every day. I hope you enjoy your final Christmas, she said bitterly, before BBC staff, under strict orders from palace advisors, cancelled the take, and sent junior staff on an early lunch. Later in the day the Christmas message was redone, the second take proving less troubling to the establishment. In the United Kingdom, and on the internet, broadcast of the Queen's Christmas message is embargoed until 3 p.m. GMT on Christmas Day.
hello viewers. 3 days before Christmas on December 22nd, 2017 in Southern California, a nuclear missile was released on the human population by the secret and shadow government that receives their orders and agenda by the negative and evil non-human alien life forms. The positive and good non-human alien life forms have deactivated the nuclear missile, and then they detonated the now deactivated missile, and they turned it into a beautiful display of light against a background of dark night sky, allowing all human beings to witness the evil that the satanic humans involved with the secret societies, shadow governments, and negative alien beings are deeply involved with. And the North Korean leaders were to be blamed for the nuclear missile attack, and the North Korean citizens would have paid a very heavy price for a nuclear missile attack that they had nothing to do with. But when the positive and good non-human alien life forms deactivated, then played around with the nuclear missile, the members of secret societies and shadow governments had to make up a lie and an excuse to feed the human population. The excuse given for the December 22nd nuclear missile attack, 3 days before Christmas, was, and I quote, the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from West Coast Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, carrying 10 satellites into Earth's orbit and leaving behind a contrail of mystery and wonder, end quote. But the message to human beings failed to answer two very important questions. Number one, why were UFOs and alien beings never mentioned when speaking about the December 22nd, 2017 event in the sky? And number two, if the Falcon 9 rocket's destination was in space, then why did we witness the so-called SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket flying through the sky and not up towards space and Earth's orbit? See it for yourself.
What is that? So Jerry Ferguson up in the Penguin Air and Plumbing News Chopper here. I have no idea what we're looking at out here. If you look, folks, if you step outside and look out to the east, or the west rather, the western sky, it looks like maybe a missile or something going off way out over California. I've never seen anything like this. I gotta say, it's pretty spectacular looking. There's something up there in the sky flying. It looks like, to me, there was some type of a missile or something that went off. Let me zoom out here and show you, give you some scale for what this looks like out over the western horizon. I don't really have an explanation for what I'm seeing. We just saw this happen just 5 minutes ago or so. We saw what looked like I said, an airplane contrail really brightly on the western horizon. It started way down on the horizon back here, and this trail continued in this direction. As I zoom back out, it looks like whatever is flying is still flying. Let me zoom into it and see if we can get a closer look at that. Look at that, the ripples kind of coming off of the back of that. It looks like exhaust from some type of a rocket or a missile or something there. Earlier, we did see, and I've been rolling video on this, so we'll be able to play this back at some point, but we saw what looked like some boosters falling away from that rocket or projectile. This is about as close as we can zoom in. If I had to estimate a distance, I would say it's somewhere out over the California area or thereabouts. Let me zoom back out and give you some context for where this is at. Again, we're over Glendale looking toward the west. So this covers most of the western sky. You can see it from the entire valley. If you walk outside right now and look out to the west, you can definitely see it. It's difficult to tell whether it's coming east to west. It does look like it's traveling from north to south, though. Let me zoom back out here and show you kind of a broad overview. So it looks like the trail now, if you look, there's all the way across the horizon. It looks like it's traveling from north to south. Difficult to tell if it's traveling toward or away from us, but we do see some of what looks like that exhaust is what I'm going to call it. Yeah, it's really difficult to tell if that's coming, if it's going away or toward us.
That was a really, really scary experience. How real it felt for almost an hour to think that a ballistic missile is going to hit not only my home, but all of Hawaii and potentially affect the entire world. It's terrifying, and it makes your heart go into your toes.
Mom? Yeah, we won. Yeah, we won the battle.
Do you believe that these are UFOs that either triggered or responded to an actual threat to Hawaii? So in other words, is this the reason why the missile alert system went off to begin with? Was there something detected that could create a missile type impression that would have triggered the system? Or, like in previous histories, do UFOs appear after or during the process of a missile launch?
Okay, guys, we have received indication that the United States government and governments around the world are looking to do a preemptive strike on North Korea. The signs are there. So first we get a warning from Hawaii, which put what they say a false missile alert. And then today we get the same false missile alert from Japan. 38 minutes of hell that people is preparing for a missile attack from North Korea. That is no joke. So that is giving you strong indications that this war is going to start, which is also giving you strong indications that something else is wrong. Let's take a look at this. So in our skies right now, this is my own backyard. There is a planetary body out there, and we can invert it so you can look at it a little closer. But that is a planet. How do we know that's a planet? Let's look at it from the inside of the house in the same location. And as you see clearly, this is a planet. So I'll show the dogs, and I'm also showing the planet to let you know that nothing is being edited here. There is an actual planet out there, and it's right in our backyard. Look at them chemtrailing this area. So the same area, they're chemtrailing all day long. But they can't hide such a big body right now.
Okay, the second tweet we're going to take a look at is by Dominic De Angelis. He's a verified Twitter user, which potentially means he actually is who he says he is, which is super rare on Twitter. And he has about 224,000 Twitter followers. So when he makes an observation about recent events, you know that he has captured the attention of a lot of people. In this case, he's talking about satellite rocket launchers, how SpaceX lost a military satellite. And although he's having fun with words there where he says lost in space, it was actually lost in the ocean. And Bloomberg did an article on January 8th by Anthony Capaccio and Dana Hall, and they spoke with a U.S. official and two congressional aides who were familiar with this, and they confirmed that a military satellite was lost at sea. Now, I know Dominic's tweet was having fun with the concept of being lost in space because it's SpaceX and it's a satellite, but the truth of the matter is it was lost at sea, and this happened days before Hawaii's false alarm, which comes to Dominic's point number 4. Hawaii's false alarm, days later Japan has a false alarm. Now, is there a connection between the SpaceX loss of a military satellite and then the false alarm military announcement both in Hawaii and then days later in Japan? That's what's so intriguing about Dominic's tweet, is that he is asking a question which has a very serious implication. But let's take a look at one of his other tweets, because keep in mind he tweeted this on the 17th of January, and then just recently he actually tweeted this picture of what is called a meteor. But if you look at the trail and the fact that it is straight up and down, one might suggest it wasn't a meteor. Okay, this tweet is all about a rocket alarm that sounded in southern Israel. And this tweet was put out on January 16th, but the event actually occurred on January 12th, and it was reported by Albo News. Now, I don't know anything about Albo News, so it's part of our fact-checking that we're going to take a look at a later date. But here's what they said. An impending rocket alarm had been reportedly sounded in southern Israel to warn of a rocket inbound, and if you look down, it says the sirens were a false alarm, as confirmed by the IDF. So here's another major superpower on the same team. Hawaii is part of the US. Japan is part of the new military connection of Western powers, and you have Israel as well, which is a known ally. And each of these countries have had some form of a false alarm. So what is going on? Are they testing out a system that simply isn't working? Has someone actually hacked into these nations and been able to trigger these alarms? Or is there another operation going altogether, which is what Dr. Stephen Greer talked about, a false flag, preparing people for an incoming invasion that isn't actually an invasion? In this episode of F the News, we've looked at several possibilities as to what happened with the false missile alerts in Hawaii, Japan, and in Israel. We've looked at some of the conventional topics, such as human error, and of course, then there's things like technical error, which we know can happen. But due to the pattern, which was revealed on Twitter and in other locations, people are starting to suspect that it's tied to a deeper political agenda or a military agenda. Now, who's driving it is completely unknown, because of course it is beneath the surface of what most people have access to discover. So is it a hack from a foreign power? Is it an intervention from a cabal of corporate economic interests? These are questions that people have asked on Twitter.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to us on YouTube.
Spread your wings and fly away. No one can ever take your place or replace your face or fill your space. I know you're flying high with the angels now. I miss you, I miss you, I miss you, I miss you.
You was too young to go, only 23 and we lost you. Hope that you resting in peace. Such a beautiful girl with a beautiful soul. You was like my little sister and I was your big bro. When I first met you, you was just a teen. I watched you grow into a beautiful queen and a great mother to your little Bella, your little princess Gabriella.